Nice little Z. Non-turbo though.
Tomorrow.
Good morning. It's Saturday morning. Chris just hit me up, ready to go to the shop. Peace out. Hey, look at Chris's NSX. Kid is so sick.
This is the header, the rear bag header.
Stealing parts off Chris's car.
Parts I probably never ever would have used again. That I might have sold for, gosh, I don't even know what people would pay for that stuff. Maybe 80 bucks.
Yeah. I've never actually ridden in anybody else's NSX.
And like, see, I keep the box back here.
Oh yeah.
So this is the box that controls the gauges there. On your car, I'll probably put it on the passenger side behind here, just for ease of access. Because to get the memory card out, if you want to change anything, you need to pull this out. So if we hide it, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So usually I kind of let these hang out back here.
Right.
But if it's a problem and you're super tall, well, I can tuck it somewhere.
Yeah, we can tuck it behind the passenger seat.
So this is the screen setup that you'll have. I have mine pretty dim just because I hate it when it's super bright.
Right.
But this is just a layout that I made in Illustrator. What happens is you go into the tool and you set a backdrop, and really all it's doing is rendering these numbers. You can kind of tell the fidelity difference, like these are really pixelated.
Right.
And it renders these kind of charts, these bar charts, and like these smaller numbers here. So you can kind of set all this up, set up your ranges in the design tool, and then just export it to the memory card. You plug the memory card in and you're good.
Heck yeah.
Everything that the ECU sees gets piped into that box, so if you want to configure anything, you really can. Like I have battery, fuel pressure, this is throttle, air temp, oil pressure, coolant temp, boost there.
Yeah, that's sick.
And then this is a dash cam I use. It's awesome.
I gotta get one too. And a radar detector.
This one has GPS built into it, so you can overlay anything that the car sees in addition to like map data onto your actual videos.
That's sick.
So like it has an OBD2 port that's Bluetooth that connects to the ECU.
Dude.
So like when
sick.
I export my videos, I can see throttle, boost, speed. I can see anything the ECU can see, which is pretty cool. I was actually pretty surprised because when you're at the track, they force you to have your windows down and up fully.
Right.
And usually it's always down, which means there's a lot of wind noise on video, and this does a really good job. Don't hear the wind at all.
Right.
You can actually hear conversations in the car with the windows down in the recordings, which is pretty cool.
Especially the drone on the highway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just a little bit. That's like 3 to 4 partial throttle.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying, like, people that turn these cars up more than that, it doesn't really make sense.
Right.
It's like the car
You're gonna kill yourself.
Well, and you like the spirit of the car, you completely change it. It's like there's a difference between like a person that becomes athletic and a person that becomes a bodybuilder. Right. It's like a point of no return where like you've ruined like everything that previously defined who you were. So I try to keep it in that area where the car is still the same car, it's just faster. Although right now we're running a little more boost than you will be. I'm running 16 pounds right now. You'll be running like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And at 8 or 9, the car feels like an NSX. It just feels more lively, more torque. Yeah. We're like 16 pounds. It starts to transition a little bit into the okay, this might be a little bit of a different car now territory. But yeah, for like what we're doing on yours, it's going to be super chill. Like it'll just be lots more torque, lots more power, but it'll feel like the same car. Not so much like you're kind of on the gas and you're like, holy f, this car's completely different. Yeah, so the way that the Haltech works is it reads PSI for both pressure, positive and negative, so you'll see negative and positive numbers on that screen. So like if I go into like 4th gear, you can kind of see how responsive this turbo is. We're at 2 grand. I'm just going to kind of get into throttle and see how quick we hit boost. We're in boost at 2,500 RPMs. So by like 3 grand, we were at 12, 14 pounds there. Right. Not one of those turbo cars where like all of a sudden there's no power below like 4 grand. Right. Whereas if you go with an UG-size turbo up, you can kind of expect that where there's almost no power, no power, no power, then it just slaps you in the seat and you're done. So I feel like this is a good compromise. Like there's going to be more back pressure. The turbo's a little bit smaller, but like if you're an OEM engineer, this is the type of responsiveness you want from a car. You're not shooting for like monster power, you're shooting for a better overall experience. So that's kind of what we're doing with this particular setup. And you can see like the exhaust is not obnoxious. Like it's super respectable. It's not so quiet, it's you're like, you can barely hear your car, but it's not so loud where you're like one of those people that's commanding attention that everybody's like, oh, this guy's obnoxious.
I love this exhaust. I love the way it sounded.
It's super chill, but like it sounds angry at the same time, which I like about it.
This thing's mint, dude. This thing's gorgeous.
Do you recommend this kit?
There's a lot of bad press on them. I haven't had a single issue in 7 years. And I have hundreds of hours of track time on them. They work awesome. I don't like the people that have issues. I can't invalidate. Like it's not one of those things like it's like, oh, well, they had issues because they did it wrong. But I haven't had any issues. Like all these other kits, you need to build your motor. Like it's anytime you're starting to push into that 450 range, you're like really jeopardizing the car. Specifically the ones with these composite head gaskets, like the older ones. It's really easy to just blow a head gasket on these, and then on top of that, the pistons are cast and they're super thin, so it's easy to break a piston in these as well with the turbochargers.
And how many miles did you say you were boosted on that stock motor?
About 103,000 miles I put it on, and it was 134 when I took it off, which is a lot for an NSX. Like that's me driving it like once every week, so 5 or 6 years probably. If you want, I can get into a little bit here, but
just gonna send it.
yeah, it's super chill. That's what I mean. Like this turbo is it's a good setup for the car. There's a little bit of back pressure up top, so it's not super peaky. So like what happens is the horsepower and torque kind of flatten out, which you could get more power out of a bigger turbo, but it's not going to be as drivable. Yeah, it's not going to be as fun of a car. But you're going to want to always be above 3.5, 4 grand no matter what. We can do that today as well, and you can kind of get some of that. So like here's the pieces to your exhaust, here's your tips, tape to protect the
gingerly touch
finish.
our tips.
Here's the start of your charge pipe, and then we'll mock the rest of that up today as well. And I'll probably weld it.
Look at those welds. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, these ones here, I was using my welding positioner, if you're wondering why it looks like a robot welded them.
Yeah. I was gonna say, man.
Like these are freehand, so it's not even close to like as dead center as this is. This is literally like not a speck of variance across the weld seam.
Right.
Like every single one is exactly the same.
Uh-huh.
I'm okay at welding. I'm not that good though. Yeah. Like that's like you have to be like dead steady to know.
I like those welds though. Burn it all.
Yeah, the burn works. I mean, the burn sticks around for about a season or two, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And then eventually it'll start to kind of fade.
Yeah. I like the look though. I'm gonna have to get a titanium strut bar from you.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of, right now supplies are actually hard to get. Here's some gloves if you want. I have a huge order that I placed, well, I don't know, 3 months ago. Because of coronavirus, ports were closed, so they couldn't ship it. And then the ports are now reopened, but they're like 4 months behind. So like my stuff is just sitting there waiting to ship here. I have, it's like a pallet of titanium. Those are, it sucks because like I'll make something like that and I don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I really like this. I just want to keep it for like my own personal entertainment.
So what'd you just build for this one?
Just before the winter, this manifold and downpipe, which the downpipe's not actually here yet. This car has titanium charge piping that we did as well, which when it's all together, it looks awesome. Because we work on these all the time. We can have a motor in one of these cars in an hour. Transmission, motor, all that stuff ready to start up in an hour. So this is something I just made for myself because Cars and Coffee sucks in an NSX.
Right.
And the center console, it's largely unused. This is a little awkward because the console's got to be up if the cup is taller than the console is deep, which is almost always the case. But at least you can drive around with a cup of coffee with one of these. So more or less, like a lot of your stuff is in here that we'll get into here shortly. Did you do this, or was the car like this?
I did not do that.
Okay, well this is a newer model ABS pump, and from what it looks like, it looks OEM. Like the harness coming off of this is not an aftermarket harness. Like if you were to buy this from the Japanese company that makes these, or Science of Speed, or Jay, who makes these harnesses as well, this would be much different. That's why I was kind of curious. So interesting that you have a newer style ABS pump. Like this mod costs $1,000 to do, $1,500. And every single NSX that has a 95 or older NSX really needs this mod, so this is pretty cool. I thought it was interesting because these orange plugs, you can't buy these. These are manufacturer spec plugs, but you can buy these plugs. This is a standard Sumitomo plug, so like on my car I did the swap, but I have all gray plugs because you can't buy them in orange. And what I was actually going to do is just depin these and take the orange plugs off my original stuff, but it's one of those things where just like I'll mess with it when I have downtime, which it sounds like we'll have some downtime here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I spent some time on Prime. A lot of the guys said that is the first mod that you should make.
Yeah, so I'm really shocked to see this here, and this is OEM. Like this is tied into the OEM loom. It makes me wonder if the Japanese cars got the newer style. This is a 90, you said?
Yeah, 1990. It's VIN number 80.
That's really curious. And that car was like 900 horsepower, and it was all-wheel drive, so it would light up all four and just kind of walk around while it was lurching. So he's like big into horsepower. I'm like one of those people that likes a balanced car. Right. But he wants to at least turn this up on the dyno so we can see what it'll do. So right now it's kind of low boost still. We want to be running in the 30s. Pump in the front. It's a nice quiet little pump that flows pretty good. And this is the coolant hoses. And here's your front heat exchanger. This is what we needed to take the bumper off for.
That looks well made.
Yeah, this is the same one Shad uses as well. It's a good unit. Good for 600 horsepower. And then this is your coolant bottle. This is actually off of a Mustang, the supercharged Mustangs. But it makes it for a really nice OEM looking install, so this is pretty cool that they use that.
Shout out Science to Speed.
This is going to be your charged piping, which I'll be adding an IAT bung to this. But they put this nice brush finish on these, which there's an option to coat these. I like this raw finish.
Yeah.
That's the intercooler.
Ready. Wrap that nice.
Yep. Here's all your couplers. And this is the GaugeArt. And that box just fell apart.
Ooh.
So pretty straightforward. You know, like this gets keyed into the ECU, and this runs to the box. We need a VGA cable, which I'm gonna need to track down. I'll get to
I
all
don't
of
know
that.
how we're gonna get one of those with everything
with
closed.
Freaking business is all being locked down now and everything.
Soon enough. Portillo's.
They're known for their Italian beef sandwiches, but I actually think the burger's the best thing there.
Day 2.
Hey, what's up guys? Here we are at Foundry on day 2 of what was supposed to be a 7-day thing, but I gotta go back to KC because of all the Corona stuff. Everything's shutting down here. Everything is gonna be officially shut down on Tuesday in KC, so I gotta get back. I was supposed to be here a week and I wanted to shoot the whole build. I gotta go back to the wife and the dogs. Chris promised me that he would get some good footage and send it my way, so I'm glad for that. Chris has done a hell of a job this far from what I've seen, and I'm excited to get it back. I'm really thankful for those guys, Foundry, R&D, for working on the car. I know if I build my motor, I'll be back. Here you go, sir.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, man.
So those are 2-inch satin gray and matte black.
Cool about these new ones is this Heim joint here didn't used to be there, and the way that we have to clock this, it actually, see how close this rod is? It gets even closer the way we have to clock the turbo, so this is going to help us tremendously. And this is a dual port, so the way that it works is there's a diaphragm here, and basically just uses the signal whether or not this should be pulled open or closed. But a dual port, we can actually use both the reference side and also supply pressure to the back, keeping it closed. So it just gives you lots more control, which is really what you want. This one's super quiet. You wouldn't even know it's a turbo car with this.
So this is Chris's. This is factory.
So we'll put this up. I'm gonna mock the turbo to where we want it to be, and then we'll take it down, bolt this to the turbo. This is the turbo hanger bracket, and it's thin enough so that the turbo can flex. Thick enough to do the job, but not so thick that the turbo is coupled to the chassis completely. It allows for some play, and it's super light as opposed to like a big hanging frame.
This is a cool view of it too.
There you go, now your turbo. Hey.
Baby. So on this trip, got to see the whole kit come together.
Yeah, you really did.
Alright man, appreciate it man.
All right, brother.
Elbows. It's in good hands.
It is in good hands. Next time we get it, turbocharged.
Yes, hell yeah. Just left Foundry, sitting here at the gas station, headed back to KC. I'm super glad I came. I got some really good footage of the turbo kit install. Chris does an amazing job. He's second to none. We're off to KC.
3 days later.